Hello, I am Umbrenero and welcome back to Umbrenero's Life. Today's video is my 2025 yearly setup. It's that time of year again, so we're getting right into it with my new bullet journal for 2025. And for how I wanted to start this year was slightly different than a few years ago. Well, than the last couple years, really. So, first page here is I went in and put 2025 in 4 colors on my first page here. Tried to erase some of the pencil that I drew over, but it is what it is. I had to make sure my markers weren't bleeding through because this is the first time I'm using this journal that I was gifted from my husband last year sometime. Yeah, sometime last year. But this year, for my yearly setup, I want to have a galaxy lunar. It's a weird theme that I'm going with for my yearly layout. And I wanted to utilize some stickers that I had got over the course of the last year. And I'm usually not big into stickers, but this year I wanted to try something different. So I took a little time figuring out, all right, what stickers do I want on my yearly page? So I settled on these couple, which the colors in them kind of reflect the colors I chose. And it's a good start. Because another color that I'm kind of using for my yearly stuff is that beige slightly. Because some of the other stickers that fit this theme that I had were beige, so it's like they all have some gold on them, so for me, it was good enough. But I am not doing like very specific themes this year. I have a general theme that I'm going to do for each of my monthly themes, but you'll see what that is coming up in January. But here, I added one of my beige stickers that I had just to that way it would help tie it all in later on. But then on the next page here, I have my focus for the year. So me and my husband had talked previously about what our primary focus is for 2025. And I wanted to make a place for me to look back to of what it is, what is the definition of it, and my reasoning for why I want to focus on this topic. So, made general area with some lines just to give a little bit of color. And then it was finding a couple more stickers that would fit here. And a roll of tape I had, it was not cooperating, but it's like, I'm going to use the rips that it's doing to my advantage. So after getting the tape trimmed up, I was done with the first 2 pages of my 2025 journal. So on to the next section. It is my future log. So usually I do a year at a glance calendar, but I decided for this year I wanted my future log and my year at a glance to be together. And this was the best way I could do it. So I started out by outlining all of the calendars first. But another change that is happening for 2025 is I'm actually using a little bit of a background for my videos for journaling because, yes, I like my work table, but I want to have some consistency this year, and that's one way I am doing this, is by having a similar background that is a little more playful and a little more colorful than just the standard grayish background I have been using. So with the first spread of my future log outlined, I decided to put in the letters for the months first in specific colors, because each quarter of the year I am having a certain color represented, so that way I can know exactly when I set a goal, when I did a check-in on certain things, just to help me keep track of what quarter I was more using my journal than others. So here went in, numbered all of the days for the first quarter with my teal color, and then I had to remember exactly which color came next, but I can say there were times where mistakes were made. So again, went through, erased the first letter so that way I could make note with my color, and did the same thing but with the second color. But now it's time to do that entire process all over again with the second half of the year and the 2 remaining colors. But I will openly say this right now. This video is longer than I thought it would be, because I did a lot more yearly spreads than I thought I was going to do, because some of the spreads I did include are ones I knew I was going to be using for 2025 for certain categories that I will end up doing some goal setting for throughout this year. So this year, another thing that I tried for setting up these pages in particular was trying to use my computer to kind of map out things in Excel to see, all right, would this work here? Would this be better? And it kind of worked, but it kind of didn't work. So it was an attempt, and maybe I'll try it later on for monthly spreads, because I have some ideas with what I want to do for each month. But we'll see how that goes. But again, I put in the numbers in the corresponding color for that quarter. And I did purposely do the colors in this order because I felt having them in a specific order, I didn't want the pink and purple too close. I didn't want the teal and blue too close. So that's why I alternated the 4 colors the way I did. And then here I decided I needed to bring some of my lunar element into these pages. So I grabbed a moon sticker I had, cut it in half, just to add a little bit to those 2 pages. So now we're on to the next little spread that I wanted to do, which is a birthday, anniversary, and important days. So that means holidays and just general days that are important, whether they're good or bad, because remembering some of those days just needs to happen. And here is where I ended up introducing my secondary colors for the year that I am using throughout on any of my yearly spreads. But this time I did break out the ruler because I wanted these boxes to be as straight as I could draw them because of the information going into here, because I do plan on referencing this page throughout the year. So now was doing a quick erase, just so that way I could start putting in my color for this page. And yes, I had to make sure I had my markers over to the side because I was a little disorganized when I started recording. But as you can see, for the first quarter of the year, the secondary color is this light green because I wanted something to break up these boxes so it wasn't pure white with little spots of color. And then in the corner, I did a 2x2 square in the light color to put under the initial for that month. So for the second quarter, I did this light purple. Third quarter, a light blue. And the fourth quarter, a light pink. It really helped to bring in the different colors that are going to be utilized throughout the whole year. at least on this page. So my next page is a temperature in pixels page. In 2024, I did a painting for the temperature, and I decided I'm not doing that for 2025. I am going to do it in my journal. So I wanted to try to get the lines as straight as I could here. And that is exactly what I did. And I have the entire year drawn out in a box, but I needed a spot for my color swatches to go. And here I have 21 little boxes that are going to be for each of the colors that I might use over the course of the next year. And I haven't quite decided if I'm going to be using my Tombos or if I'm going to use different markers or colored pencils for filling this in yet. Or it might be a combination of the mediums, just so that way it is unique and it is different. Also, a difference compared to my temperature as a painting from 2024 is I do not have the average for the month on here. Maybe that's something that I will figure out where to incorporate it later, or I am just leaving that out. So here I had to go in and write the temperatures. And yes, I did them in these increments because I feel that having it broken down more, it'll help me figure out where I wasn't feeling good, because I'm someone that does not get along with hot weather. So seeing what days it's hotter, it'll help me make sense of if I am feeling good or feeling bad. But then here, along the top of the little pixel box, I used my 4 main colors to mark the quarters. Then was trying to find a sticker to fit into this open corner. I didn't want to cut the one that I was trying a couple times, so I found one that ended up fitting pretty well in the space instead. Then I have this little bit of an empty space along the right-hand side. So I was trying a few of my different beige stickers to see which one would actually work here the best, and I found one that fit perfectly. And then I even added a little bit of extra tape just to the bottom, just because. But now we move on to my level 10 life. And this year, all of the areas that are included in this are based off of the focus for the year. So, knowing that, that's what helped me narrow my level 10 life down from the list of 8 from 2024 to 6 for 2025. And yes, the main areas for 2025 that I want to focus on in general are content, finances, home environment, my hubby, then mental and physical health. And all of these are returning from the previous year. So then was some quick erasing and getting ready to do my little quarterly spots where I'm going to put my thoughts on where I'm at. And again, I did them in the same colors for that corresponding quarter. So, looking at how I have these set up, I have them roughly given months, and just thinking about it here while I am recording my audio for this, I realized I have these put down for the wrong months in the quarter. Like, the August one was supposed to be July. The December one was supposed to be October, but that's fine. I will figure it out, and it's one of the things. I'm not perfect. But now I wanted to move on to my 25 and 2025 bingo. And this year, I knew going into it what was getting put into this bingo board, but I didn't want to fill that all in while I was recording. So, this was just strictly drawing out the bingo board. And yes, I did freehand it, and I had to move it down from my sketch because I had almost centered it, but I was just slightly off, which it happens. But for 2025, I do not have a free space in my bingo board because the 5 sections that are going to be accounted for this area do have a spread where I have a spot to list the 25 things that I'm going to be doing. But before I even get to setting that part up, I had to come through and erase a lot of pencil from where I had mistakenly put it. But before I did that, I was measuring a sticker and wanted to get it to fit in the spot I found, just to incorporate a little bit of the design element on these pages. And yes, I was struggling to get the backing off of some of these stickers. But now onto the spread where I put my 25 and 25. And I had it sketched in completely different than how I ended up doing this. So this was a on-the-fly change of what I wanted where. But the things that will end up in my little bingo board are 25 games, 25 TV seasons, 25 books, 25 movies, and 25 times that I do art. So, to track that, I have columns for the things that I need to fill in what I played, what I watched, what I read. And then for art, I just made a smaller section and just filled in enough lines that I just write the day that I did actual art, be it diamond art, be it coloring, be it anything like that. And then I had to make sure there was 25 spaces there, and I counted so many times just to make sure I wasn't missing something. But then I continued with putting in the little gray lines here separating up these sections. I could have used my different colors, but I decided against it here because for writing in what I'm doing, I'm going to use those colors there to show, all right, in the first quarter, I read 10 books. Second quarter, I read 15 finished. Just so that way I can see what quarter am I doing certain things more often. But next was trying to figure out how to fill the empty space that was still on this page. I didn't want to fill it in with with writing or anything like that. So going through the various stickers that are kind of the inspiration for this year. And it's like, all right, what ones fit together the best? And it's like, all right, these will work, but now I gotta just get them to fit. And I was looking at a few others, seeing, oh, will this work? Will this work? And I think deciding on the stickers was the hardest part. But then I found I had some very thin washi tape, and it's like, ooh, this will work here. So it was a lot of trial and error to figure out what would go where. And putting the sticker in, I put it in crooked, realized it afterwards, so I had to trim it. So there's a little gap, and things happen. But now we are on to a set of 6 pages that link back to my level 10 life. These are my general goal setting pages for the year. So I just simply labeled them with the 6 categories of content, finances, home environment, hubby, mental health, and physical health. And these will be mostly used to come up with like my general goals for the year, but I will break these goals up each month and kind of see where I can get to on these. But like for content, this is just the general area for these goals. Later on, you'll see what I mean. So I wanted to include a couple little bits of stickers just to make it so these pages aren't so plain at first here. So I went back to my washi tape well, I didn't go to the washi tape. I went to the sticker I was trying. Or is that what? No, that is my washi tape. Sorry, I can't remember what I was using. And that was ripping on its own and choosing where it ripped. And using that to just put in little spots throughout the pages here. Then the second one I was using was behaving a lot better, so I could actually control the way it ripped. But it is what it is. And I varied the sizes between the different pages, just so that way it's not all big strips or little strips. And yes, I wasn't afraid to overlap where my lines were, because it happens. And I didn't want it to be the exact same thing on every page. But with those done, it was time to get to some finance-related spreads that I wanted to include for 2025. And this first one is how close is payoff? So there are 2 specific debts that I want to pay attention to in 2025. And I just wanted to get the general layout set up here so that way I can fill out the information come the 31st or the 1st of the year. So, first things first, I put in everything that was going to be in black ink. And that took quite a while. But then once I had that all done, I did go back in with the colors for specific quarters of the year. And looking at it right here, you see, wait, this first debt, I only have 6 lines for it. Yes, that's because I expect the first debt to be paid off within the first 6 months of the year. The second one I know is going to be a year-long thing, and I didn't want to just go and say, oh yeah, here's blah blah blah. Nope, I wanted to track it throughout the whole year. Because the second debt that I have listed here, that one can fluctuate over the course of the year. So I could be adding to it, or I could be paying it off. It's going to be one of those where I am keeping track of my portion of this debt. But here again, I put in my colors so that way I can keep my quarters straight and organized. And then I toyed with where to put some stickers, and I was okay with it slightly overlapping my writing on this page. But I decided not to, and just went back to my tape first and then putting it in, because then I could see exactly where I would need to trim it. Because on the next page, which I didn't even start filling in right away, I put the stickers down first because I knew this one was going to take a while. But not as long as doing my little debt payoff page. So the second finance related spread I have here is a saving tracker. And it is one that I hope to keep track of over the course of the year to actually save some money. So I want to have a personal goal for each savings account I have access to. And what better way to keep track of it than using little envelopes. So to get the 12 envelopes to fit in the spaces I wanted them, I had to do it in a not so simple pattern, but it worked. But then I was drawing the envelopes for the second area. And once I had the outlines all completed, it was time to add my little pops of color for the quarter. So for January, February, March, the teal marker was used to make the little flap on the envelope labeling each month. Because on the bottom part, I hope to write how much I contribute to those savings accounts each month. At least that's the rough goal for me. Like right there, I made a mistake for the joint saved goal because I wasn't paying attention. I was just getting into the rhythm and forgot to switch markers, which happens. But with that, that's how my little savings tracker is built for 2025. Then here I tried to trim the bottom page with my X-Acto knife. It didn't quite work. So in came the trusty scissors to get it all trimmed up and to not take too much paper off the page. But now we're on to a self-care spread. So in my self-care video, I said there were some spreads that I was going to do for 2025, and this is where they are. So I want to have an ABC of self-care, where I have 26 different ideas of things that I can do that correspond with the various letters of the alphabet. So first things first, I had to draw in all of these boxes. They took a while. But this page gets to be simple here at first, because when I start filling it in, I will use the colors I selected for the year to be brought front and center to help fill in all of these squares. Because maybe this is something that'll take me all year to fill in, or maybe I'll just sit and get it done one night randomly. I don't know how it'll go yet. But this is part of my being intentional in trying to get self-care brought into my routine better. But no, as I am editing this, I just realized that the background that I chose for this year, it really fits my theme very well. Because it's space-like, has some of the similar colors. I think I just wanted to have fun this year and just do something different. So now that I had the title put in, it was time to erase some of the pencil marks that were still visible. And then it was adding some decoration again. And I didn't really want to trim all of my stickers, so I was trying to find one that would fit. So I grabbed some little pieces of my darker washi tape that I had, put them in first, and then decided to cut the sticker in half that I wanted to incorporate, because it was going over the 2 pages and I thought it would be easier. Oh, I didn't cut it. I thought I did. Oh, that was a different one. Yep, I was wrong. Alright, on to my next spread. This is another self-care spread that I decided to do, which is a I need help spread. Basically, I didn't know when I was drawing it what I was going to have be the 4 sections, but I knew I wanted it, and I have since labeled them, because there are times you need to ask for help, and that's exactly what I knew I was going to need to do there. But then this is another spread that is kind of self-care. It's an ideal day schedule. And yes, I know it's not centered properly, but you get into the flow of things and things just happen where they happen. But I did catch it. So what this is, it's every day of the week divided up between 7 a.m. till midnight, because that's kind of my rough schedule that I go by. And I wanted to get this part all marked up first because I'm actually partially laminating this page with some packing tape, so that way it can be modified throughout the year with what is going on during those days. So first things first was getting everything laid out here, and then it was time to figure out how to get it so the packing tape only went where I wanted it. I grabbed a washi tape that I don't use often to hold down the backings of some of the stickers I was using that were clear. I figured I was going to need something to help keep track of where to put these little strips, and it worked. So first thing, before I covered the little calendar section, was getting the plastic laid down around it and not over it. And then after I got these all laid out, I did end up fighting with my packing tape for a bit. Not super long, but just enough that I was getting very frustrated. So I ended up cutting my packing tape so that way I had pre-sized strips, and I was hoping they were the right length. And to my luck, they ended up being the right size, but just getting to them in the first place was a pain. So I started laying it down, realized here with the very first one it wasn't going to be smooth, hurry up, lifted it up, and I got it to fit perfectly. So did it again for the other half. So that entire section became laminated. I took my X-Acto knife, cut right around the edge here, and I have cut through pages before on accident. So here, when I was peeling this off, I was hoping I did not cut through. Well, difference between this journal and the one I did before, this one was a lot thicker, so I didn't cut through. I did make a little key section that I did end up filling up when I started filling that out. But we're moving on to my content area. Sorry about that. It's cold season, and I just have the sneezes right now. But we're on to my content section, which I have a content goals page, which is where I'm going to go more in depth in some of my goals for the year for my content items. And I have a statistics area. And here I decided to do decorating before I even started filling in my statistics part, because I just wanted to do decorating here because I really didn't do much on the previous page, so I wanted to get it done here. So the two statistics that I put in right away were for my gaming and for my life channels. And I decided to do a little chart to keep track of where I'm at with subscribers at the beginning of the month and at the end of the month. And you can see here, I put pink first. Pink isn't the first color for the year. And so to reflect that accident, I just swapped my pink and green for highlights and then put the rest of the colors in correctly. When I realized I did this, I was like, oh, geez, this is not right. Oh, well, I'll deal with it. But I'm not sure if there's going to be other things I will be keeping statistics for 2025. So that's why I left this very spacious on the bottom of the statistics page, because if there are more things I want to include, I can add them and make it fit for where in the month I started with that item. Or I could just say, I'm going to include this as of February, not do January for this item, or I don't start something till April. It'll give me an idea of when I started tracking that specific statistic. Because I do want to see the growth over the course of the year and try to make sense of it. But yes, I was trying to see if a sticker or some washi tape would fit, and I decided to go with the washi tape because a little easier to fit, and I didn't have to cut a sticker again. But now, onto the last spreads of my yearly setup. So I have a maybe I can do this list. It's going to basically be a spot where I'm going to put ideas for content, ideas of things I want to do throughout the year, right where I can just put that down while I'm thinking about it. And then the other area is give me an idea, please. A gift idea list, because there are certain people in my life that are very hard to find gifts for. And if I end up hearing of something like, hey, I want this type of controller charger, I can put it down and have it in a single area where I can reference back to for birthdays or for holidays. And then for the maybe I can do this area, I wanted to put some more stickers down, so that's exactly what I did. But then quick erase, and I didn't want this to be a blank page. So I added some quick little highlights of alternating lines just to make it be broken up and not be completely a white page, which I should have done these before I put that little moon sticker down, but that's fine. You live and you learn. And then I did the same thing with gray for maybe I can do this. But here is a look of how I have my 2025 yearly setup all done. There are things that I want to be intentional with this year and things that I want to do to improve throughout the year. And I hope this is a way that I am able to do this. And yes, I will say right now, that little sticker is going to get trimmed. I don't know when, but it will be getting trimmed because while I was filling out the bingo box, it was being a little distracting. This is just what I am doing to set up for 2025. And hopefully it'll work for me. So, thank you for watching. And until next time, I am Umbrenero. Bye!